Hey, welcome. I am so glad you found this video. Let's just go ahead and get started. This is one of the most common questions I get from parents as an advocate, and I want to be mindful of your time. If we haven't met, my name is Lisa Lightner. I am a special education advocate and lobbyist. My websites are adayinourshoes.com and don'tiebalone.com. There's also a Don't IEP Alone podcast and a lot more. That is my son, Kevin. He is an adult now, and that is the kid who started all of this stuff. My mantra for him and parenting him, because we got his diagnosis when he was an infant, has always been, we cannot change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. So let's go ahead and play the hell out of this hand. But this isn't about me. This is about you and your child and the question that you want to answer. What can I ask for on my IEP? I get this all the time. Grocery stores, everywhere. Hey, can I ask you a quick question? What can I ask for in my IEP? Even right before I was getting ready to record this, I got a DM. Hey, I was wondering, what can I ask for at my son's IEP meeting? I'm not even making this up. The short answer is you can ask for anything, right? And people go, oh, that's not what I meant. Well, listen, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of tough love for you to get this answer. And I promise you, I am going to answer the question as far as what you can ask for on an IEP. You can ask for anything. But when I hear this question, first of all, just know I'm a no BS advocate. I'm here to get your child's needs met. And that's what I want to help you do, is get your child's needs met on their IEP. But what I hear and what I think when I hear parents ask that question is this. It tells me that you don't know the IEP process. You might think you know it. Maybe you've even had an IEP for years. You go, I know what IEPs are. We've had an IEP for years. But I'm telling you, if you knew fundamentally how the IEP process works, you wouldn't ask that question. Okay, so let's just kind of sit with that a little bit. Please don't tune out. Please don't click away. You can, I guess you can if you want, but I promise you that you're going to get good information, because what can I ask for on my IEP is not the right question to ask, because what it tells me internally is that, well, I would be a better advocate for my child, but I just don't know what to ask for. And that's why we have a crappy IEPs, because I don't know what to ask for. Or it's not my responsibility to know what my child needs. There's a list somewhere. I just haven't seen the list yet, right? Parents want this like secret list. It's a list of placements for kindergarten. It's a list of accommodations for autism or ADHD, right? And if I could just see this list, I would know what to ask for. Or, I can't be a better advocate because the school won't tell me what he can get. Like, I don't know what's available to me, so I don't know what to ask for, and they won't tell me what to ask for. If I could just answer this one question, my IEP woes would be gone, okay? You are sabotaging your own advocacy with this thought path, because it allows you to internalize unrealistic expectations about your IEP and the IEP process in general. And you're just oversimplifying the very cumbersome IEP process down to one simple step. Well, if I could just answer this question, my IEP would be fine. Okay. Because it also allows you to say, well, my success with my child's IEP is out of my control, because they won't show me the list and they won't tell me what I can ask for. And so there's just no way to overcome this, right? I don't know what to ask for, and that's why my IEP is terrible. You have the power. If you're waiting for the answer to this question, which, yes, I am going to answer, but you are giving up all of your power, and parents actually have a lot of power in the IEP process. You've been made to feel otherwise, but what benefit is there if the school thinks you have all the power? But don't give up your power. Now, before you start pearl clutching and saying, oh my God, she's being so mean, and why won't she answer this stupid fucking question? I just asked one question, right? People hire advocates because they think we have this list, right? I'm going to hire this advocate because surely she will know what to ask for, and then I'll have access to this magical list. So let me tell you, The whole give them a fish, teach them to fish. You know that story, right? They just want the fish. Just tell me what to ask for. And I know this because I offer to teach anyone and everyone who wants to learn how to fish. I will teach you how to fish. And people go, oh, I'm busy. I work. I'm a special needs mom. I'm busy. I don't have time for that. They just want the fish. 99% of people I encounter just want the fish. They don't want to learn to fish. And they go, well, no, I do. I know that there's no list, or if there's a list, the school's not going to share it with you. And I offer to help dig in, teach you how to fish. I'm kind of busy. You know what? My kid has 50 seizures a day and he's tube fed. I'm kind of busy too. I am very empathetic and appreciative of the challenges that our families have. It may or may not be the right time for you to become a better advocate right now. Caregiving, working, job loss, health issues, whatever. But you have to get involved at some point because situations do not resolve on their own. I have never once seen a parent with a crappy IEP or an IEP where the behaviors and suspensions and regression and the kid's not making progress and he's in 5th grade and he's still reading at a 1st or 2nd grade level and mom's been complaining and talking. These situations do not ever resolve on their own. No one else is more motivated than you to fix or improve your child's IEP. Okay? The IEPs never get easier. You get better. Okay, so let's go back. Is that parents think that a successful IEP is just one question away, right? If I could just answer this question, I would have a robust, meaningful, appropriate IEP. Or the reason that advocates like me are successful. They even use my name in IEP meetings if I'm not there. Well, Lisa Lightner said I could do this. Because I can't ask for. So if nothing else today, I want you to take that question, what can I ask for, on my IEP and all of its cousins, and it's garbage. Don't ask it again. Do not ask it again. What I want you to ask instead, but I'm still going to answer that question for you, I promise. But an acronym, quick. Questions utilizing intent, clarity, and knowledge. Okay? That's what you want to ask. Not this, what can I ask for? What can I get? No. Intent, clarity, and knowledge. What do you know about your IEP? What do you know about your child? What does their data say? And what is your intent? What is your intent of the question? To add a service, to add an evaluation, to change placement? And make sure you clarify that. Okay? Effective advocacy is asking a lot more questions than answers. And I want you to use that knowledge base to apply more, to ask more questions, okay? And be specific, intentional. What specific issue? Not what can I ask for? My child is struggling with social skills. What social skills curriculum or instruction do you use here in this building that we can add to his IEP? My child has not, what can I ask for? My child has significant sensory needs, and those needs are manifesting themselves in example A, B, and C. Let's add, X, Y, and Z to the IEP. Okay, you have to be clear about what is working and what isn't. And then, do you have the knowledge to make meaningful suggestions? I'd argue yes. Nobody knows your child better than you. You are going to be your child's best advocate, but you are going to have to become an expert on your child's disability. So whether it's autism or ADHD or dyslexia or whatever it is, you have to become the expert on that and know what works and what doesn't. Okay? So there is no list. There's no list of placements. There's no list of, hey, here's the accommodations. Here's all the reading programs we offer. The main principle of IDEA is individualized. So if the school presented you with such a list of saying, hey, here's what you can ask for, that would be too restrictive. It would be too limiting. So they will not present you with a list, a checklist, an a la carte menu to pick from. Okay. The other thing is this, is that IEPs are an ongoing process. A solid, robust, meaningful, appropriate IEP that is implemented with fidelity. I am telling you that no parent ever got there with just one meeting, just one question, just one action, just one email, just one evaluation. It's an ongoing process, a little bit better each day, each meeting, each revision, until you get to the end result of what your child needs. Okay, remember, IEPs do not get easy, you get better. So now here I am, 20 or 30 slides in. Let's talk about what you can ask for, right? What can I ask for on my IEP? FAPE. So you might be saying, oh, listen, lady, now you are really getting on my nerves. But seriously, FAPE is special education, and it is what special education advocates, myself, and special education attorneys spend all of their time doing. You will never hear anyone besides an advocate or attorney use the word FAPE more than we do, because FAPE is it. FAPE is the whole product. It is everything. And it's what we spend all of our time doing, is procuring FAPE for our clients. You absolutely must understand and know what FAPE is and grasp the concept and understand it. Because if you don't, you are relying on others' interpretation or definition of FAPE for your child. FAPE is your child's IEP. It is everything that they get. And you need to be able to understand that and define it. Otherwise, someone else is defining it for you. FAPE is your child's final IEP. Okay? If you want to say, well, what's my child's FAPE? It's your IEP. That is their FAPE. That is their free and appropriate public education on paper. Okay? Your current IEP is your child's FAPE. You agreed that it was FAPE. Because here's another truth that I probably should have put on a different slide. Unless you file a complaint or ask for a change or ask for an IEP meeting to change the IEP, or file for due process, file for mediation, unless a parent uses the options available to them to dispute the current IEP, it is assumed that the IEP is fine. So even if in your heart and your gut you're not agreeing to this IEP, but you're okay, I'm going to sign off on it because I don't really know what else to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and sign off on it. But you've agreed that this is FAPE for your child. Since you have already done that, I would not expect the team to magically or miraculously come to the IEP table next time with a drastically different offer of FAPE, right? Why should they? You agreed that this is FAPE. That's what you agreed to it. So you told them that this is FAPE for your child. So why would they change things up? Okay. FAPE is determined by the IEP team, and you are a part of the IEP team. You might say, well, they pressured me. I didn't know. I don't know what to ask for. I didn't know. But if you agreed to something that you don't agree with, I don't know what to tell you. That's what advocacy is pushing back and not agreeing. So again, tough love. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And this isn't a personal criticism of anyone, but these are facts. And if this is what you're doing, I owe it to you, since you devoted time today to watch this video. I owe it to you to tell you this, that if you're agreeing to IEPs that you don't agree with, you're being a passive participant and not an advocate in the process. You're going to be told no. It's not reasonable to think that every time you go to an IEP meeting or every time you ask for something on an IEP that you're told yes. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to anyone. You're going to be told no. But you go back to the drawing board. You go, okay, what else do I need to move the team to yes? You don't need to memorize these. We're just going to go over them briefly so that you understand what principles make up FAPE. So that when I say, well, you can ask for FAPE, you're like, okay. The first principle of FAPE is that every child in America is entitled to a free and appropriate education, meaning no cost to parents. Now, I have the little fact check arrow next to that because let's talk about real life. And in real life, FAPE is not free. It's not. Yeah, you may not be paying for your public school, but the fact is that we spend more time on our kids' education than we do with our non-disabled kids. We spend more time parenting, attending meetings, things like that. That's not even including if you hire an advocate, if you buy a book about, buy my book, buy a book about IEPs, whatever it is. FAPE is not free. We spend more time, money, and effort. Okay, it's just that the education itself is supposed to be free. Okay, individualized. This is another big one. One of the main components of FAPE is that the child's IEP will be individualized to them. This is why there will never be a list, such as, a lot of times when I find when parents are moving their kids to kindergarten, well, if I could just see a list of placements, there's not going to be a list. Okay. First timers who have an IEP for the first time, ADHD or autism, if I could just see a list of accommodations to ask for his ADHD, you have to become the expert in your child's condition. Engage them. What do you think you need? Get their input. You're going to have to embrace this. Okay. Appropriate evaluations is the next principle. So to receive FAPE, every child is entitled to the evaluations that are appropriate for him and her. So as we're going along, if you have an IEP issue, you kind of want to attach it to some of these principles. Okay? So your child might need more or different evaluations, for example. LRE, least restrictive environment. Child must be educated in the least restrictive environment to the maximum extent possible and refrain from using budget issues as an excuse not to do it. Keep in mind that it is a continuum. Your child is not required to stop at each bus stop along the continuum. There's nothing in IDEA that says that. But also, LRE means what is the least restrictive environment for them. That doesn't mean that every child has to be put in gen ed. It's what is the least restrictive environment appropriate for them. Okay. Read your procedural safeguards, your parents' rights booklet that they give to you at each IEP meeting. Okay. You do have guaranteed participation in the process. You are a mandated IEP team member. The school is not going to beg you to use your rights, to exercise your rights in this process. They're just not. They've fulfilled their responsibility. If they give you that booklet and they have you sign the sheet that says I received my procedural safeguards, they have fulfilled their legal obligation. They've notified you of your rights. That's it. That's all they have to do. They're not going to beg you to use them. Okay. Read them. I don't know what to say. Read them. I can tell by a lot of the questions I get from parents over the years that you're not reading them. Where can I find information on? It's in your procedural safeguards. I know it's dry reading. I know. Pennsylvania's are like 50, 60 pages. We're working on it. I just proofread a copy because ours are being updated and they're trying to put them in more easy to understand language and things like that for our state. But what you may have noticed is that as I was going through all these principles, next to each principle was a picture of buckets of some kind. So when you have an IEP concern, think about your concern and what bucket would it go into. So if, for instance, we're talking about individualized, right? One of the main principles. If you hear that we don't do that here, that's not individualized. All autism self-contained students do this. All life skills students do this. Things like that. That's not individualized. We don't do that here. that we don't do that here. That doesn't sound very individualized. If it's an undocumented need, that would fit in the evaluations bucket, right? If they refuse to acknowledge or include your parent concerns, that would be in the parent right bucket. Okay, so you kind of want to be able, you should be able to tie it to a bucket. So what can you ask for? You can ask for anything. You just have to tie it to what your child needs. So if they've been evaluated and they have a need, the goal and the intervention follows after that, right? We can all look at a program or a service or an intervention and look at, ABA or whatever it is and say, I want that for my child. That is fate for my child. I know that if I could get my child in an ABA program, that is fate. That is what they need. Most of us can do that. But this is what most trainings don't tell you. And this is why most parents fail, even when they get the list, right? Even when they went to a workshop and someone gave them a whole fantastic list of interventions to ask for, right? I did this too, right? I've been to all these conferences and dragged my whole family up to Penn State and spent 3 or 4 days up there. And we're going to this conference and they give you this pie in the sky list of interventions. Like, well, kids with autism need this and kids with autism need that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's fantastic. That'll be fantastic. But what I didn't know and what no one told me was, first of all, that nobody told me how to ask for those interventions. And the part where most parents miss the mark is that not only do you have to know what is FAPE for your child, you have to be able to demonstrate that what the school district is offering you is not FAPE. And that's not always so easy to do. Okay? Have you made the case on paper that whatever it is the school's offering you, that this is not FAPE for your child? Because if you can do that, I can tell you districts pick and choose their battles and they pick and choose their resources, right? Schools are only looking at, schools care, but they're too busy, they're too understaffed, they're too under-resourced to worry about where your kid is when they're 20 or 25. They're trying to get through each school year. You need to kind of grasp that concept and say, okay, no one cares about my IEP more than me. Schools are going to pick and choose their battles. So you want to make the strongest case that you can on paper. Okay. They're not going to pick and choose a battle with a parent who has a solid data and documentation trail. They're going to move on to the next parent who doesn't. And I'm not pitting parents against each other, but most parents won't do the work. Most won't overcome what it takes to learn this process. But if you can do that and define FAPE for your child and get the team on board with what is FAPE for your child, that's what a solid IEP looks like. Okay? So remember, that one question can really affect your advocacy mindset because it's so open-ended. What can I ask for on my IEP? And because the answer is you can ask for anything, right? So there's no real definition to the question and there's no real definition to the answer. And that can really slow down your advocacy and sabotage your advocacy efforts. Okay? You can ask for FAPE. I've defined FAPE for you and I've showed you what the 6 principles of FAPE are. And I've also told you that you need to be able to demonstrate that whatever the school district is offering you is not FAPE. And that is very important. So we're near the end. You might be thinking like, oh my God, like I've watched this whole video now and I don't even care that I'm watching this video at 9 a.m. I feel like I need a drink, right? If you're looking for the roadmap, I have the roadmap. You just need a plan. This is it. It's my secret strategy, which isn't so secret. I tell it all in my training. The training is both live and recorded sessions. It's lifetime access. The training library has over 100 videos in it. It's one step at a time, right? You're going to get my advocacy strategy, which will move your IEP team to yes. So remember, IEPs never get easier. You get better.